All right, so I did want to do just a just a specific explanation of how the form extrude tools work and such, and it's largely the same. So going into Fusion, you could do a sketch either here or inside the form environment. It does not matter. It works exact same way. So let's just say creating a sketch, and I'm just going to make a couple of forms, or a couple of sketches. All right, so a rectangle. And then we'll do like a kind of amorphous fit point spline here. And you could, of course, obviously always modify these. All right. And then again, if this is too snug or anything like that, you can always, move and warp stuff around, grab the handle control bars, anything like that. Okay. So standard thing, finish sketch, just like we normally do. Now I can go in the form environment, or if you were already in the form environment, you could have created the sketch same time. It works exactly the same. Just remember that all it's doing is pulling up the relevant tools for a working environment. So like for form, it's pulling up all the form environments. If I created a sketch, it would change the toolbar up top for all of the sketch tools. So no difference whatsoever. All right, so go to create and extrude. If I extrude the container or the box, it's going up. Now that is going in both directions because if I check the toolbox, it's symmetric. If I had it one-sided, there you go. Same deal, works exactly as an extrude because it's a square object. Now here I can add and subtract faces as needed. So if I grab the slider, you can add and divide it up or subtract down. Does not matter. It's up to you. Same deal, sliding back and forth, adding faces across both left and right. Now, if you're looking closely, you can see using the slider, it's kind of difficult to see, but you have control over the front and back and the two side faces. So as I slide, it's changing them individually. Or go to here, and you can see it more specifically. You have, say, like front faces, that sort of thing. So you have more control, just depends on how you're approaching it. That's all. Oops, I just did something wrong. There we are. All right, so same deal, but it leaves a hollow shape. Go and it automatically hid my sketch. So, all right, let's repeat extrude now for the curved surface. Now, the curved surface is where it gets a little weirder. So if I look from the top down, you can see it is not at all accurately following my sketch. It's close, but it's not quite there. And the reason for this is because it is simplified. Let me just switch back to one-sided so it's a little bit easier to see what I'm talking about. The number of front faces, how much is going up and down, is just one. So one edge, second edge, no in between. Up and down is dividing it more. So nope, I just want one. But it's the faces around the perimeter that if I increase that, it's better able to actually more accurately fit that shape. So I'm just going to use the toolbox, the up and down button to add faces. So as I add more, you can see it is much more accurately following my fit point spline. And I'm not going to say that if I just keep adding more and more and more and more and more, it will just continually add faces and it'll be much more accurate. But it actually kind of is because obviously the more it is able to break up the shape, the easier it's able to make curves. Because remember that ultimately a computer is trying to make a round circle or any kind of round line. It's trying to do that with straight lines. It's all the math of straight lines and how much can I really divide that up. So if I add more faces, it's just making it that much more accurate. So 24 up from 8, you can see it's almost perfectly accurate. I can keep going, and it's getting even closer. You can see here in the corners, it's not quite there. So it's up to you how accurate you want to make this, but that's the real difference in why this works. You can see as I zoom in, you can get a much better idea of why it's not quite fitting. You see how the flat edges are here. That is, even though the major face lines are or edge lines are here and here, you can see much more accurately the actual um, rendering lines in between. So Obviously, you don't want to make it too complex, but there we are. Adding more faces, more side faces, definitely gets it more accurate to your drawing. Hit OK. All right. So to close these up, that's where you go to modify and fill hole. So double click on the top and it goes all the way around. This is where you go around deciding, all right, do I want fill star? Do I want collapse? Fill star works pretty well. The keep crease is already checked. If I uncheck that, it makes the box rounded. So this is where you end up back and forth between the rounded shape, even though it is an angular shape here. So or an angular form. So playing around with this keep creases checkbox is really powerful. What if you have something after the fact and it's rounded already and I want to sharpen that up? You can go in, modify, crease, and add creases. And now I have more control over isolating those. So you can play around with a lot of different stuff. So that's why I wanted to show the specific differences between a full form, sorry, more like these for the handles versus being able to actually extrude your own shape. You have a little bit more control over stuff. So same deal. Let's go to fill hole for the fit point spline form. Oof, that gets real weird. And you can, as I zoom in, you can see all this strange ray tracing is definitely giving me a little bit of an idea of just how messed up the math is going to get on this. So certainly try around. Now, remember, I experimented with this earlier. The collapse did some real weird stuff. Reduce form actually more of continues those lines up and over. That might be the better option in this case. Again, if I keep creases, it's going to keep it sharp. The only trick is it won't let me select both the top and bottom at the same time. So hit OK with one, right click to repeat, orbit under, double click. There we go. So I'm definitely getting a pretty weird shape here. But from my pretty weird shape, now, because it's a custom shape, now I can certainly play around. I can go to my edit form, grab faces, I don't know, drag outward. This is where I can start to shape some more. Press and hold Alt to use the extrude function. You start getting some real funky stuff. Frankly, these are definitely the times where it's just, yep, play around and see where it gets you, because this is how you figure out how some of these things work. If I select all of these faces under here, oops, did I? Kind of, sort of, because it's a weird shape. It's very difficult to actually grab all the ones in a uniform manner. Press and hold Alt, dragging outward, get some weird stuff. Same thing goes. Remember, you can always, if you get run into trouble and get something that you don't quite like, you can delete the faces. Now I can manipulate that a little bit more effectively. And let's go back to edit form. And let's see here. I'm trying to just kind of even this out a little bit. Which one sticks out in weird ways? Let's go by vertex. Oops, snapped around in a strange way. Let's grab those. Bring that back a little bit. This sort. Sure. Oops, didn't mean to get out of edit form. By edge, double click all the way around, and now I can, again, press and hold Alt, extrude as a tube. More faces you have, more complex you make it. If this gets all weird, misshapen and such, there is another tool if you wanted to smooth that out, to modify, and you can try cylindrify. You can see what it does. It smooths out uneven extrusions, specifically tubular forms. So let's try that on here. Selected that whole thing. Yeah, kind of smoothed it all out. This whole leading edge here was a lot sharper. Sounds good. And then if you want to fill that, or when you want to go close this up, go back to fill hole, double click. You have your options. reduce star, fill star, which kind of more evenly does so, collapse, you have more vertices, keep crease, keeps it sharp. Totally up to you. Hit OK. Now, the one thing is, always double check. This is going to finish form. Yep, worked. Okay. Now, the one thing is, as I go to expand the bodies here, don't forget a closed shape, body 2 here, is a solid. The open-ended one is expressed as a surface. You're good. So if this was a form that you wanted to be able to 3D print, it has to have dimension. So either go back and use the thicken tool if you want it to be hollow, it makes the walls thicker, or use the fill hole and fill in the bottom, and it becomes a solid object. However you want to express that, it's up to you. But those are the different things that you can use, or different ways you can use the extrude. I forgot the word. Use the extrude tool in the form area. So again, give it a whirl. You get some weird results, and you can end up with a little bit more complex, but sometimes it's a little bit easier to manipulate that way.